Tier 1. Documented Anomalies. The Black Knight Satellite Mystery. In 1954, the US military detected something. A 13-ton object in polar orbit. Just one problem. Humanity hadn't launched anything yet. Sputnik 1 wouldn't grace our skies for another 3 years. And yet, there it was, defying both physics and explanation. A fact that immediately caught the attention of both military and civilian researchers alike. In 1963, astronaut Gordon Cooper reported a glowing green object tracking his Mercury 9 capsule, confirmed by Earth-based radar. NASA dismissed it. Convenient. Then came 1998's gut punch. Endeavour's STS-88 mission captured images of an angular black mass in orbit, draped in what looked like thermal blankets, a feat that would have been impossible for 1950s technology. NASA called it debris. Right, because space junk regularly changes altitude and velocity on command. Estimated age based on orbital decay, 13,000 plus years. That's right, while our ancestors were figuring out pointy sticks, something parked this behemoth in orbit. But here's the real nightmare. It broadcasts. Multiple observatories have picked up signals on frequencies no known satellite uses, transmitting mathematical sequences that leave our best cryptographers sleepless. Skeptics call it misidentified space junk. Fair enough. Now explain how junk casually changes altitude, sends coded messages, and doesn't burn up in the atmosphere like every other piece of space garbage. The Black Knight doesn't just orbit, it listens, and sometimes it replies. Martian methane fluctuations. On Mars, something breathes. Every Martian season, methane appears in the thin atmosphere, then vanishes, almost as if something is exhaling and inhaling. NASA's Curiosity rover first detected these inexplicable spikes in 2012. The levels surge up to 21 parts per billion, then mysteriously disappear within hours. No known geological process can explain this rapid cycle. Here's the disturbing part. Here on Earth, 95% of methane comes from one thing: life. And unless Mars has a secret cow farm nobody told us about, something is making that gas. And these Martian plumes? They match the seasonal patterns of terrestrial microbes. The methane appears during Mars's warmer periods, just as bacteria would become more active here on Earth. The European Space Agency's Mars Express confirmed these readings independently. Their data suggests that the gas emerges from deep beneath the infamous Gale crater, a location that once held an ancient lake, which just so happens to be in the same place where Curiosity found organic molecules preserved in 3 billion-year-old sediments. Something down there is producing methane, something that follows biological patterns, something that's active right now as we speak. And here's the part NASA isn't talking about. Those methane spikes, they follow a schedule, suggesting a regularity that nature rarely displays. Whatever's down there, it's following a schedule. We're detecting something's breathing on Mars. We just don't know what or who is doing the breathing. The WOW signal. On August 15, 1977, humanity received its first and last message from the void. The Ohio State's Big Ear telescope picked up something historic. Astronomer Jerry Emmon took one look and probably had to change his pants. For 72 seconds, something coming from the constellation Sagittarius pierced our electromagnetic cocoon with surgical precision, broadcasting at 1420 megahertz, the exact frequency of hydrogen's quantum emission. Nature doesn't do precision. Nature doesn't do surgical. Whatever this was, knew where to cut. The intensity, 30 times stronger than background noise. Whatever sent this wasn't being subtle. Astronomer Jerry Emmon marked it with wow, perhaps the last moment of scientific innocence before the implications sank in. Then silence. Absolute, deafening silence. Thousands of follow-up observations, each more desperate than the last, yielding nothing but static and crushed hopes. Whatever intelligence reached out that day watched us scramble like rats in a maze, searching for a repeat performance that would never come. Scientists suggest comets or terrestrial interference. Right, because natural phenomena regularly produce perfectly modulated signals at precisely the frequency we've been telling everyone to watch for alien contact. Something out there got our attention, knew exactly where we were listening, and then left us on red for 46 years. Voyager 1's unexplained data. In May 2022, humanity's farthest flung messenger started sending unexplainable data. Voyager 1, the farthest thing we've ever sent into space, suddenly started transmitting data that made no sense. The Attitude Articulation and Control System, or AACS, which is basically the Voyager's way of knowing its orientation in space, reported impossible readings. It was perfectly aligned and completely lost, transmitting valid data, just in a format no one at NASA could read, almost like it switched languages mid-sentence. A quantum state of operational confusion, if you will. NASA's explanation? The spacecraft appears to be confused about its location in space. Cool. Our most distant piece of technology, the one carrying humanity's intergalactic handshake, suddenly has the navigation skills of a drunk driver. But here's the weird part. Despite its so-called confusion, Voyager 1 never lost contact. Its signal stayed strong, clear, and perfectly aimed at Earth, which shouldn't be possible if it truly had no idea where it was. The anomaly persisted for months before mysteriously resolving itself. NASA called it a glitch, but out there, in the space between the stars, something made our oldest explorer start speaking in tongues. Maybe Voyager wasn't confused at all. Maybe it found something and just couldn't tell us. The Tabby star dimming. In 2015, astronomers detected a star that shouldn't exist, or rather behaves in ways that spit in the face of astrophysics. KIC 846-2852, better known as Tabby star, doesn't just dim. It vanishes in chunks. Like something massive is playing peekaboo with an entire sun. A gas giant like Jupiter would barely dim a star. Just 1%. This thing, 22%. And there's nothing that big out there. Nothing natural anyway. How inconvenient for our understanding of stellar mechanics. The dimming patterns defy natural explanation. They're not periodic like orbiting planets, not gradual like star spots, and certainly not consistent with any known astronomical phenomenon. The star is also steadily darkening over decades, as if something is systematically consuming its energy. Initial hypotheses suggest a swarm of comets. Right, because comets routinely arrange themselves into structures larger than our solar system, and coordinate their movements with mathematical precision. In 2017, astronomers detected multiple wavelengths being blocked simultaneously, indicating an object, or objects, with impossible properties. Something artificial. Something engineered. 1,470 light-years away, something might be assembling a Dyson sphere. If that's the case, we're not just watching a star. We're watching someone dim the lights while they build the future. The Hessdalen Lights. Deep in Norway's Hessdalen Valley, science has a slight measurement problem. Since the 1940s, Norway's Hessdalen Valley has hosted a private light show. Except these lights don't follow physics at all. They hover, merge, split, and casually phase through solid objects. Quite inconsiderate of them, really, to violate our fundamental understanding of matter just like that. In 1984, Project Hessdalen installed scientific equipment to study these luminous trespassers. The results? Well, they managed to prove these things are definitely real and definitely shouldn't exist. The lights emit powerful electromagnetic fields, contain plasma-like properties, and display surface temperatures of 5,000 degrees Celsius. Just your typical Norwegian valley decoration. Nothing to see here. Radar confirms they move with intelligent precision, avoiding obstacles and responding to other lights. Sometimes they split into smaller components, because apparently defying physics wasn't entertaining enough. And here's the kicker. They show up most during the solar minimum, where Earth's atmosphere is clearest. Almost like something wants us to see them. Scientists suggest piezoelectric effects or combusting scandium. Sure. Because naturally occurring elements regularly organize themselves into self-aware light shows. Something's putting on a show in Hessdalen. The real question is, who's it for? Fast radio bursts. In 2007, our radio telescopes detected something that made astronomers question their sobriety. Bursts of radio waves lasting milliseconds, yet carrying more energy than our sun produces in 80 years. The first one was so intense, so impossibly powerful, that astronomers buried it in their data for years. Like a bad report card they didn't want their parents to see. Then we found more, hundreds more. Some of these bursts repeat with mathematical precision, something nature doesn't do. Others screaming across space with such perfect frequency patterns that calling them natural is like calling a supernova a minor lighting irregularity. We've detected them from every corner of the universe, each one carrying enough energy to power civilization for millennia. Some repeat every 16.35 days, like cosmic clockwork. Others appear in perfect pairs, separated by precisely calculated intervals. Either the cosmos has a lot to say or someone's leaving voicemails. ESA's Huygens probe sounds on Titan. In 2005, humanity's first visitor to Titan recorded something that NASA wishes it hadn't. During its descent through Saturn's largest moon's thick atmosphere, the Huygens probe captured audio that defies explanation. Among the expected wind noises, something else emerged. Distinct rhythmic patterns that have no business existing in real life. The sound signatures match no known atmospheric phenomena. They have structure, repetition, and worst of all, intent. Just what you want to hear on a moon that harbors conditions surprisingly suitable for life, right? Scientists attribute it to atmospheric interactions. Convenient, because alien atmospheres regularly produce perfectly structured acoustic patterns that coincidentally resemble signals, right? The recordings were quietly archived, mentioned only in passing in technical reports, but they're still there, buried in ESA's data vaults. Rhythmic whispers from a world we thought was dead. Something was singing in Titan's winds that day. We're just not ready to face the composer. The Oumuamua interstellar object. In 2017, something from interstellar space decided to pop by for a visit. Astronomers named it Oumuamua, which is Hawaiian for scout. How uncomfortably appropriate. This cosmic interloper defied every law of celestial mechanics we hold dear. A tumbling, cigar-shaped object accelerating against the sun's gravity, reflecting light in ways that suggest metallic surfaces, and maintaining trajectory corrections without any visible propulsion. Just your typical space rock, if space rocks routinely violated physics just for fun. Harvard's Dr. Avi Loeb suggested it might be artificial. The astronomical community responded with nervous laughter and a lot of, nope, definitely natural energy, because space rocks always pull off mid-flight acceleration stunts and reflect light like they're made of metal, right? But what's actually weird, or rather disturbing, is that it approached precisely along the solar system's invariable plane, which is the cleanest, debris-free path through our cosmic neighborhood. Almost as if something or someone has done their homework. Oumuamua has since vanished into deep space, leaving us with more questions than answers. But maybe that was the point. Saturn's Hexagon. At Saturn's North Pole, mathematics stops being theoretical and starts getting really weird. A perfect hexagon of swirling gases, each side longer than the Earth's diameter, has been spinning there since we first peeked at it in 1981. A storm system maintaining precise 60-degree angles in the chaos of space. The structure has remained stable for over 40 years, unfazed by Saturn's violent storms and seasonal changes. It even has its own private hurricane in the center, spinning at speeds that would make our terrestrial storms blush with inadequacy. Scientists suggest it's just a weather pattern. Right. An atmospheric phenomena just so happened to have organized itself into geometric shapes that would make a mathematician weep with joy. The most unsettling part? The hexagon rotates exactly in sync with Saturn's magnetic field, something that shouldn't be possible for a mere storm. It almost feels designed, and whoever or whatever did it, let's just say we're not exactly rushing to ask. Unexplained transient lunar phenomenon. For a dead rock, our moon has a disturbing habit of showing signs of life. Since the 1500s, astronomers have documented over 2,600 instances of unexplained lights, colors, and geometric patterns dancing across lunar surfaces. The same lunar surfaces we confidently declare geologically inactive. Awkward. In 1968, NASA compiled the chronological catalog of reported lunar events. Buried in its pages are reports of pulsing red dots, organized light formations, and mysterious mists that appear and vanish with mathematical precision. Because that's exactly what you want to read about the celestial body you're planning to land humans on. The Apollo missions captured several of these events on film. Mission transcript records, astronauts describing flashes, streaks, and floating lights which NASA shrugged off as cosmic rays affecting their vision. All of them, simultaneously. How fortunate. What's even more unsettling is that these phenomena cluster around specific lunar features, particularly the Aristarchus crater, where multiple observers have reported geometric patterns forming and dissolving. The moon keeps flickering at us with impossible lights from supposedly dead craters. Maybe it's signaling. Maybe it's studying us. Or maybe it's just being polite before it says hello. The Steve Aurora phenomenon. In 2016, something decided to rewrite our textbooks on auroras by showing up where it absolutely shouldn't exist. A ribbon of purple fire, burning at 6,000 degrees Celsius, slicing through the sky like a laser. Amateur photographers spotted it first, and, facing the inexplicable, named it Steve. Because when reality breaks down, why not embrace the absurdity? Scientists, desperate to sound professional, dubbed it strong thermal emission velocity enhancement. That's science speak for, we have no idea what this is, but here's some scientific words to make us feel better. Here's the uncomfortable part. Steve appears thousands of miles from where auroras are possible, moves with mechanical precision, and comes with a bonus feature: green picket fence formations that march across the sky in perfect synchronization. Because apparently one impossible phenomenon wasn't enough. Here's where it gets creepy. Steve's temperature signature doesn't just resemble known ionization points, it perfectly matches them. Not close, not similar, exact. Almost like something's conducting a very precise experiment in our upper atmosphere. Something's testing our atmospheric chemistry with surgical accuracy, and we're down here calling it Steve. Mars recurring slope lineae. On Mars, dark streaks appear and disappear with seasons. NASA calls them recurring slope lineae, because evidence of flowing water where no water should exist would cause too much panic. These streaks stretch hundreds of meters down Martian slopes, following paths that perfectly match liquid water flow patterns. They appear in summer, fade in winter, and return to exactly the same locations year after year. Nature doesn't do exactly. Scientists suggested they're just dry avalanches. Cute, because as we all know, avalanches totally happen on a strict seasonal schedule and leave behind the chemical fingerprints of liquid brine. In 2015, spectral analysis confirmed these streaks contained hydrated salts, minerals that require liquid water to form, on a planet where liquid water shouldn't exist. And here's the kicker. These streaks show up exactly where ancient Martians would have migrated as their planet dried up. Almost like somebody already figured out the best places to find water. Something's still moving liquid across Mars' surface with clockwork precision, and it's following paths that look suspiciously engineered. Tier 2. Historical Incidents. The Lost Cosmonauts Recordings. Before Yuri Gagarin became humanity's first official space traveler, the Soviets may have sent others. They just didn't survive to take credit. In 1961, two Italian brothers intercepted radio transmissions that the USSR probably wished had stayed buried. The Judica Cordelia recordings captured cosmonauts gasping their final breaths, women screaming as their capsules burned up, and desperate SOS signals fading into cosmic static. Just your typical Cold War entertainment. The recordings detail at least 9 doomed missions, carefully erased from Soviet records. One captures a female cosmonaut's heartbeat accelerating to panic levels before the transmission ends. Another records 3 cosmonauts literally suffocating as their cabin depressurizes. The Soviets called it all Western propaganda. Because, radio stations just love fabricating crystal clear Russian distress calls in perfect military lingo for fun. Most chilling, the brothers intercepted one final transmission in 1965, a cryptic message reporting unknown moving objects before going silent forever. The space race was built on hidden graves. Some of them are still broadcasting their secrets. The Pioneer Anomaly. In 1980, NASA discovered something that made their physicists question their entire careers. Pioneer 10 and 11 were slowing down. Not much, just 0.00000000874 meters per second. But in deep space, where even quantum fluctuations are accounted for, that's like watching gravity take a coffee break. Both spacecraft, separated by millions of miles, experienced identical deceleration. Not similar, not close, identical. Because apparently the laws of physics decided to coordinate their breakdown across the solar system. Scientists threw every explanation they had at it. Thermal radiation, gas leaks, dark matter, cosmic strings, nothing fit. The force was constant, uniform, and laughed in the face of known physics. In 2012, NASA claimed they'd solve it and blamed it on heat from the spacecraft's power system. Right, because thermal radiation always applies perfectly uniform forces across 2 separate spacecraft on completely different paths. Here's the part that keeps physicists up at night. The anomaly vanished precisely when we started looking harder at it. Almost like something realized it had been caught and quietly stepped back into the dark. Apollo 10's unexplained music. In 1969, while orbiting the moon's far side, the Apollo 10 crew heard something that NASA kept classified for nearly 40 years. Music, not static, not interference, actual melodic whistling sounds that penetrated their capsule during radio blackout. The kind of sounds that make hardened test pilots exchange worried glances and carefully choose their next words for the flight log. The recording captures Commander Tom Stafford asking, "You hear that? That whistling sound?" Followed by Lunar Module pilot Eugene Cernan's response, "Yeah, Sounds like outer space type music. Because that's exactly what you want to hear when you're 238,900 miles from home in a tin can. NASA's 2008 explanation? Radio interference. Sure. Because static regularly arranges itself into perfect melodies at the exact moment astronauts are cut off from Earth. Sure, NASA. Totally normal. The kicker? The same music was reported by multiple Apollo missions. Each time it started precisely when they passed behind the moon's shadow, and stopped the moment they emerged. Something, or someone, was providing the soundtrack for humanity's first steps beyond Earth. The question isn't whether we're ready for the encore, it's whether they're the ones waiting for us to return. The Tunguska Event. June 30, 1908. Siberia woke up to a front row seat for an extinction-level event. No warning, no explanation, just a fire from the sky. At 7:17 a.m., the sky split open. A fireball brighter than the sun carved through the atmosphere, ending its cosmic journey with a 12-megaton tantrum and flattened 80 million trees in a perfect butterfly pattern. The shockwave circled the planet twice. The punchline? No crater. Not a pebble of cosmic debris. Just 1,000 square miles of trees playing dead. All pointing away from an explosion that, technically speaking, never touched the ground. And yet, the blast is estimated to have been 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Local shamans blamed angry sky gods. Scientists, being scientists, blamed the comet or meteor, despite the suspicious lack of, actual space rock evidence. The Soviet Union's later expeditions found radiation levels that made their Geiger counters wish they'd called in sick. The clincher? Eyewitnesses reported the object making a 90-degree turn before detonation. Last I checked, asteroids don't do corner drifts. In 1908, something parked a demonstration of power in the middle of nowhere. Maybe that was the point, a warning shot where only the trees would live to tell the story. The 1952 Washington D.C. UFO Incident. July 1952, the height of the Cold War, and something, or dare I say someone, decided to crash America's nuclear party. For 2 straight weekends, radar screens across D.C. lit up like Times Square. Objects danced through restricted airspace, performing aerial ballet around Andrews Air Force Base. These weren't your uncle's weather balloons. They pulled 7G turns, hit speeds of 7,000 miles per hour, vanished on command, and reappeared just to prove they could. The Air Force scrambled everything with wings, launched their finest jets, which, frankly speaking, was like sending paper airplanes after lightning. The visitors responded by buzzing the White House lawn, presumably for the Instagram-worthy shots. Multiple radar stations tracked them, but every time interceptors closed in, the object would wave goodbye, leaving behind red-faced generals and some very confused radar operators. Civilian pilots gawked. Pentagon brass needed fresh pairs of pants. President Truman demanded answers as he paced the White House lawn while unknown aircraft played tag overhead. The Air Force hosted history's most awkward press conference, mumbling about temperature inversions. Right. Because weather phenomena regularly outmaneuver fighter jets while playing peekaboo with the world's most sophisticated radar systems. The cherry on top? The object showed up for 2 consecutive weekends. Same time, same place. These things buzzed every sensitive installation in D.C., posed for multiple civilian photographers, then vanished. But not before leaving a very clear message. Your airspace? That's cute. Operation Starfish Prime Effects. July 9, 1962. The U.S. military looked at space and thought, what if we nuked it? At 400 kilometers above the Pacific, they detonated a 1.4 megaton nuclear bomb. The sky turned into a radioactive light show that made the Aurora Borealis look like a dollar store glow stick. The blast created an artificial aurora so bright, folks in Honolulu could read newspapers at midnight. They accidentally created a man-made radiation belt that circled Earth like a cosmic choker necklace. This newborn belt of angry particles proceeded to fry 3 satellites to death, including Britain's first satellite, Ariel, causing an international incident that basically amounted to, oops, our bad. The electromagnetic pulse that followed knocked out streetlights in Hawaii, triggered burglar alarms across Oahu, and shut down phone systems 900 miles away. The military's response? Fascinating. Because nothing says scientific progress like creating an orbital kill zone that outlived the Cold War. The radiation belt they created stayed active for years, silently reminding us that humans really will try anything once, including giving Earth radioactive jewelry. In 1962, America successfully weaponized space weather. The universe is still sending us the repair bill. Phoenix Lights. Welcome to March 13, 1997. The night Phoenix became an intergalactic interstate. A V-shaped formation of lights, spanning wider than downtown Phoenix, cruised over the city like it was following Google Maps. Not a few scattered UFOs, mind you. We're talking about a mile-wide boomerang of glowing dots that made thousands of Arizonans question their sobriety simultaneously. 20,000 witnesses, law enforcement, pilots, military personnel. Naturally, the military, displaying their trademark creativity, blamed it on flares from A-10s. As if we were to believe that military flares routinely form perfect V formations, maintain precise spacing for hours, and somehow manage to hover motionless despite wind conditions. They must have been some special flares too, the kind that can be seen simultaneously across 3 states and into Mexico, while being equipped with inertial dampeners, stealth technology, and an uncanny ability to maintain perfect formation across those 3 states. Must be that classified military tech that also defies physics, gravity, and common sense. The same formation was spotted in a straight line across Nevada, Arizona, and Mexico. Those must have been some determined flares crossing international borders without a passport. Governor Fife Symington, after initially mocking the sightings with a staged press conference featuring his aide in an alien costume, later admitted he'd witnessed the crafts himself. It was enormous and inexplicable, he confessed. Who knows where it came from? The official report calls it flares on page 1 and unexplained on page 2, because consistency is overrated when you're explaining away a UFO the size of downtown Phoenix. That night, something turned Arizona into its personal observation deck. Maybe they just wanted to check if our sunsets lived up to the brochure. Vladimir Komarov's final words. April 24, 1967. The day the Soviet space program learned that cutting corners in rocket science leads to very circular problems. Meet Vladimir Komarov, the man who knew he was going to die before he ever left the ground. The Soyuz 1 spacecraft had 203 structural problems. His friend, Yuri Gagarin, who'd later become the first human to travel into space, had counted every single one. But in the USSR's space race fever dream, failure wasn't an option. Neither was survival, apparently. As his craft tumbled through re-entry, Komarov wasn't quietly accepting his fate. No, he went out cursing every party official who'd signed his death warrant, broadcasting his rage across frequencies for Western listening posts to capture. His last transmission? A man's voice dissolving into the sound of human flesh meeting Earth at 140 kilometers per hour. Heat is rising in the capsule, followed by, "I will not make it. I will not make it." His actual final transmissions, picked up by US listening stations, were rage-filled screams and curses directed at the Soviet leadership. This was death. They've killed me. I curse them all. I know I'm going to die. Curse them all. Curse them all. Before impact, his final bitter words to ground control were, "You've killed me. You murderers." The Soviets claimed they recovered a partially preserved body. Translation, they found a chunk of metal with something inside that used to be human. They gave him an open casket funeral anyway, because when your space program turns men into ashes, the least you can do is put them into a box and call it a hero's send-off. The true gut punch? His wife was forced to attend, to look at what remained of her beloved husband while officials spoke of his heroic sacrifice. The same officials he'd cursed with his dying breath. In 1967, a man chose to pilot a coffin into space rather than let his backup crew die instead. The Soviets called it duty. History calls it murder. The Skylab UFO Incident. 1973. NASA's first space station crew discovered they weren't the only ones interested in Earth's orbital real estate. Astronauts Alan Bean, Owen Garriott, and Jack Luzma were casually photographing Earth's weather patterns when something decided to photobomb humanity's first orbital apartment. A disc-shaped object, glinting metallically, dancing through their camera frames like it was auditioning for So You Think You Can Spacewalk. The kicker? It changed direction, multiple times, in space, where Newton's laws aren't exactly optional. The object performed maneuvers that would make physics textbooks spontaneously combust, before vanishing faster than NASA's subsequent explanations. Mission Control's response was a masterpiece of bureaucratic panic. Maybe it's a reflection. Right. Because camera reflections regularly execute perfect delta V burns and accelerate beyond tracking capability. The crew, trained to recognize every piece of space debris and orbital hardware, had never seen anything like it. Most telling, the incident was quietly buried in technical reports, mentioned only as an anomalous visual phenomenon, because nothing says nothing to see here, quite like inventing new scientific terminology to avoid saying UFO. In 1973, something crashed Skylab's housewarming party, we're still waiting for them to RSVP for the next one. The Tehran UFO Incident. September 19, 1976. The night Iran's Air Force learned that F-4 Phantoms aren't much of a match for cosmic party crashers. When something brighter than a Cessna full of disco balls parked itself over Tehran, the Imperial Iranian Air Force scrambled their finest. General Yousefi sent 2 F-4 Phantoms to investigate, because when confronted with potentially advanced alien technology, the obvious response is to send aircraft from the Kennedy administration. The first F-4's entire electrical system and instruments died the moment it got close. Like, just died. Like someone had hit a cosmic light switch. The second F-4 managed to get a weapons lock on the object. The UFO responded by launching a smaller object that played chicken with a fighter jet. The pilot, showing remarkable restraint, decided that maybe antagonizing something that could have shut down military aircraft like cheap Christmas lights wasn't the best career move. The clincher? According to the Defense Intelligence Agency's own report, a smaller object detached from the main craft shot straight to the ground and landed gently near a dry lake bed, because interstellar visitors apparently enjoy midnight desert strolls. Something gave Iran's best pilots a masterclass in aerial humility. The lesson plan included electronic warfare that made their finest tech look like 2 tin cans connected by a string. The Vela Incident. September 22, 1979. The day someone conducted an unauthorized nuclear light show in the South Atlantic, and every nuclear detection system on Earth collectively screamed. At 3 a.m., US Vela satellite 6911 captured the unmistakable double flash signature of a nuclear detonation. The same pattern recorded in every single one of the 41 previous nuclear tests it had monitored. The blast occurred near Prince Edward Islands, precisely where no nuclear weapons were supposed to exist. Radiation monitoring stations across the southern hemisphere lit up like a Christmas tree. Australian monitoring posts detected radioactive rainfall. New Zealand's sheep suddenly showed suspicious levels of iodine-131. A wave of radiation sickness hit Antarctic research stations. The Carter administration's response? They assembled a panel of experts who concluded it was probably just a micrometeorite hitting the satellite. Right, because space rocks regularly produce the exact same double flash signature as nuclear detonations, followed by widespread radiation patterns matching precisely those of a low-yield nuclear device. Declassified documents later revealed that US intelligence detected Israeli ships and South African naval vessels in the blast zone just before the flash. Both nations denied everything, despite neither having any legitimate reason for military vessels to be there. Most disturbing, the blast characteristics match those of a neutron bomb, a tactical nuclear weapon designed to maximize radiation while minimizing blast damage. Someone had successfully tested a next-generation nuclear weapon in international waters, and every nuclear power on Earth quietly agreed to look the other way. Tier 3. Space Program Mysteries. Missing Apollo telemetry data. NASA lost the original tapes of humanity's greatest achievement. Not misplaced, not temporarily missing, lost. All 700 boxes of original Apollo 11 telemetry data. Every measurement, every vital sign, every piece of technical data from mankind's first moonwalk vanished into bureaucratic thin air. The question isn't how, it's why. The official excuse borders on parody. We needed the tapes for the shuttle program, so we erased them. Because apparently the most significant scientific achievement in human history wasn't worth the price of a few blank cassettes. Unless, of course, there was something on those tapes worth erasing. But here's where it gets properly disturbing. They didn't just lose the Apollo 11 tapes. The original telemetry data from all Apollo missions vanished. Every single lunar landing, every spacewalk, every anomalous reading, every unexplained sensor spike, gone. What could be so threatening across every mission that required such thorough elimination? The timing makes even hardened skeptics uncomfortable. These irreplaceable records disappeared precisely when civilian researchers started requesting them through the Freedom of Information Act. Something in that raw data spooked NASA enough to choose destruction over disclosure. What's left? Only the processed versions NASA releases to the public. Cleaned up, edited, sanitized. The raw data, with all its unexpected readings and unexplained anomalies, either incinerated or buried in some government vault alongside other inconvenient truths. The few engineers who've analyzed the surviving processed data point to terrifying inconsistencies. Radiation readings that defy known physics. Signal anomalies suggesting we weren't alone up there. And lunar gravity measurements hinting at artificial structures. All conveniently impossible to verify without the original telemetry. Soviet Mars 3 Anomalies. December 2, 1971. Humanity's first successful Mars landing lasted exactly 14.5 seconds before something decided to end our Martian house call prematurely. Mars 3 touched down successfully during a global dust storm, something that should have been impossible given 1971 technology. The lander activated, transmitted exactly one partial image, and then went permanently silent. The Soviets blamed the dust storm, but dust storms don't typically cause electrical systems to suffer total simultaneous failure while transmitting data that made Soviet scientists burn the midnight oil in Moscow. A single straight line on the Martian surface, something that shouldn't exist in a world shaped by wind and erosion. The Soviets buried this detail in technical reports, mentioned only as an image artifact, because apparently finding potential evidence of artificial structures on Mars wasn't worth a follow-up conversation. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. The lander's final transmission contained readings that suggested it wasn't alone on the surface. Its sensors detected movement, heat signatures, electromagnetic anomalies that didn't match any known natural phenomenon. Then, total silence. The most disturbing part? The Soviet orbiter continued functioning perfectly, photographing the landing site for months afterward. The images showed the lander had simply vanished. No debris, no crash site, no scorch marks, nothing. As if something had cleaned up our mess. Why did the Soviets never attempt another Mars landing, despite having 4 more vehicles ready to launch? What made them abandon their Mars program entirely after analyzing that 14.5 seconds of data? Phobos 2's final images. March 27, 1989. The last time a Soviet probe tried photographing Mars's moon Phobos right before something decided to end its photography career permanently. The probe's final moments captured something impossible. A 15.5-mile-long elliptical shadow sliding across Mars's surface. Not Phobos, not a cloud, something else. Then Phobos 2 transmitted its last image, a close-up of an object described in Soviet technical documents as a thin ellipse that somehow managed to materialize right next to the probe. Moments later, all contact ceased, permanently. The Soviet response? They classified everything about the mission's final moments, then abandoned their entire Mars program. Because apparently, losing a multi-billion ruble spacecraft to a photography-documented encounter with an unknown object wasn't worth a follow-up mission. Sometimes, the universe sends very clear keep-out signs. STS-48 discovery footage. September 15, 1991. The day NASA accidentally live-streamed evidence that we might not be alone, and someone up there doesn't appreciate an audience. Discovery's UV camera captured multiple glowing objects performing impossible maneuvers in Earth's upper atmosphere. Then, things got weird. One object executed a 120-degree turn at hypersonic speeds, a maneuver that would turn any human pilot into organic paste. Seconds later, something shot up from Earth itself. A beam, a missile, or worse, prompting the UFOs to scatter like cockroaches when the kitchen light flicks on. NASA's explanation? Ice particles. Because apparently, frozen water routinely violates Newton's law of motion and plays dodgeball with energy beams. The footage remains unexplained, but what's weirder is that every subsequent shuttle mission switched to encrypted video feeds. Because nothing says nothing to see here, quite like suddenly scrambling your cameras after catching something you can't explain. So we learned 2 things. We're not alone in our orbit, and someone down there is taking shots at them. Good luck sleeping on that one. The Gemini 4 UFO Incident. June 4th, 1965. The day NASA learned that when you try to chase a UFO in space, sometimes it chases back. Astronaut James McDivitt spotted something unexplainable. A cylindrical object with protruding arms, glowing white against the black void of outer space. McDivitt grabbed the mission's special UV camera, a piece of UFO-specific equipment that NASA just so happened to have packed for him, and started shooting. Right before the object decided to play tag, accelerating toward Gemini 4 at speeds that made Mission Control's coffee turn cold. NASA's response? They lost the photos, blamed lens flare, then quietly modified all future spacecraft to include improved cameras. Because apparently the standard response to lens flare is to upgrade your entire orbital photography system. McDivitt later revealed that ground control went dead silent during the encounter. Then, when communications returned, they had one order: never discuss the details. The same details that vanished with those photos. NASA's Tether Incident. February 25, 1996. STS-75 deployed a 12-mile electrified tether in orbit, accidentally creating the universe's most expensive cosmic fishing line for something that shouldn't exist. The copper core tether snapped under mysterious circumstances, just as dozens of massive disc-shaped objects swarmed it like metallic moths to a very expensive flame. The objects, each larger than the shuttle itself, performed impossible maneuvers around the drifting cable, appearing to analyze or perhaps feed on its electrical discharge. NASA's cameras recorded the entities passing behind the tether, disproving their usual ice crystals excuse before they even had time to use it. The objects even appeared to emit their own energy signatures, creating geometric patterns that defied known physics. Ground Control's response? They ordered the cameras shut down mid-broadcast, but not before thousands witnessed the event live. The official report labeled it a mechanical failure, ignoring the swarm of intelligently controlled craft that turned their science experiment into an interstellar drive-thru. In 1996, we learned the hard way that some things in orbit get hungry for electricity. Maybe that's why the space station keeps having mysterious power failures. Mir's space station's knocking sounds. Space is a perfect vacuum, which makes it really awkward when something starts knocking on your spacecraft. Between 1990 and 1996, Mir's cosmonauts documented a peculiar visitor, metallic tapping sounds from the hull's exterior, following distinct patterns that even NASA's finest engineers couldn't explain away with thermal expansion, as they usually do. Cosmonaut Alexander Serebov logged it with unsettling detail. 3 quick taps, a pause, then 2 more, slower this time, like someone's out there with a wrench requesting entry. The pattern repeated across multiple missions, multiple crews, and later aboard the ISS, completely different station, same otherworldly Morse code. But sound doesn't travel in space, period. And yet something, someone, was tapping on Mir's hull. No trace, no explanation, just crew after crew listening as the void knocked back. Perhaps we should be more worried about what happens when we finally decode the message, or worse, when whatever's knocking decides to let itself in. The Genesis mission's mystery sample. When Genesis crash-landed in Utah in 2004, NASA scrambled to salvage its precious cargo. Pristine samples of solar wind that should have finally confirmed how our solar system formed. Instead, they got a puzzle that's making cosmologists drink. The recovered samples didn't just rewrite textbooks, they burned them. The oxygen isotope ratios didn't match Earth's. They didn't even match the rest of the solar system. Every model we have says planets inherit their chemical makeup from their parent star. It's Astronomy 101. Yet Genesis's samples show our sun has a completely alien oxygen composition. This is like finding out your parents' DNA isn't yours, except it's our entire planet. Even worse, those samples contained impossible elements, isotopic signatures that suggest our solar system might be billions of years younger than we thought, or older, or neither. Were we wrong about the sun's age, our origin? Or did Genesis accidentally sample something else entirely? Something that's been hiding in our star's corona. Some scientists are quietly suggesting the unthinkable. Either Earth formed elsewhere and was somehow captured by our sun, violating everything we know about orbital mechanics, or something fundamental about reality is broken at a level we're afraid to contemplate. The most disturbing part? NASA's follow-up mission proposals keep getting quietly shelved. Sometimes ignorance isn't just bliss, it's policy. Venera 13's unexplained objects. In 1982, Venera 13 survived Venus's acid rain hellscape just long enough to send back mankind's worst nightmare. Proof we weren't here first. The probe captured something impossible. Objects moving across multiple frames, changing position between photos on a planet hot enough to melt lead. The Soviets' official response? Silence. These lens artifacts, because apparently artifacts can cast shadows, change locations, and casually wander into different camera angles. Even stranger, the surface composition readings showed organic compounds on Venus at 462 degrees Celsius. That's like finding fish swimming in lava. The kicker? Before dying in Venus's acid atmosphere, Venera 13 transmitted data showing its landing site had been disturbed between photos, as if something had moved through the frame. The probe lasted 127 minutes in conditions that should kill anything. Something else? It was still moving when the feed cut out. Most telling? The Soviets never sent another camera to Venus. The missing Soviet Zond photos. In 1965, the Soviet Zond program photographed the moon's far side, then promptly buried half of the images in archives deeper than Siberian permafrost. The released photos have suspicious gaps in their sequence numbers, like missing pages from a diary. but it's what they accidentally let slip that keeps astronomers up at night. Several leaked photos reveal something worse than craters. Structures. Not random debris, but shapes, angles, symmetry. The kind nature doesn't produce by accident. The Soviets' hasty explanation? Film degradation. Right. Because radiation damage naturally forms perfect right angles and symmetrical formations. The real gut punch? Every modern attempt to re-photograph these sites have failed. Probes malfunction, data comes back corrupted. Whatever was there, someone doesn't want us looking at it again. The few clear images we have show the anomalies have been moved by someone since the Soviets first spotted them in the 1960s. Both Soviet and NASA archives contain memos discussing lunar surface modifications and artificial terrain features, all heavily redacted. Sometimes the best evidence is what gets erased. Tier 4. Cosmic Phenomena. The Great Attractor. There's a region of space that astronomers quietly refer to as the Zone of Avoidance, a vast swath of sky that we literally cannot see through. It's not just dark, it's an impenetrable wall of cosmic smog that blocks a quarter of the observable universe from our view. But that's not the disturbing part. The disturbing part is what we've started finding behind it. Using gravitational mapping and radio waves that can pierce this cosmic blindfold, we've detected massive structures moving in ways that shouldn't be possible. Entire galaxy superclusters are being pulled towards something hidden behind this veil, like water pouring down a drain big enough that thousands of galaxies are pouring through. Astronomers call it the Great Attractor, because, oh god, what is that thing, wasn't scientific enough. This invisible monstrosity has the mass of tens of thousands of galaxies, yet defies every law of physics we know. It's dragging us, along with countless other galaxies, toward a point in space that shouldn't even exist according to science. A gravitational anomaly so powerful, it's warping our measurement of the entire observable universe. The truly terrifying part? It's accelerating. Our galaxy's movement towards this cosmic, hungry hippo is speeding up, not slowing down. Physics says this is impossible. The Great Attractor disagrees. Recent data suggests that this hidden region might contain some of the largest structures ever discovered in the universe. We can feel their gravitational influence, like cosmic leviathans swimming just below the surface of reality. But we can't see them directly. The zone of avoidance aligns perfectly with the plane of our galaxy, like a carefully positioned blind spot in humanity's cosmic vision. Almost as if something wanted to make sure we couldn't see what's watching us from the shadows. But maybe some parts of the universe are better left unseen. Some say it might not even be a natural formation at all. Some astronomers have noted its gravitational pattern resembles an engineered structure, as if something built a mass driver the size of a galaxy supercluster. We're all being pulled towards something that might be awake and hungry. Dark flow. Imagine discovering every galaxy cluster in the observable universe is moving in sync toward something. Not random cosmic drift, but a coordinated exodus, as if the entire visible cosmos got a dinner invitation we can't read. NASA's WMAP satellite confirmed this dark flow in 2008. Thousands of galaxy clusters streaming toward a point far beyond our observable universe at 1,000 kilometers per second. Physics says this is impossible. Large-scale structures should move randomly. Instead, they're marching in formation like ants following a trail. Whatever's causing this must be massive enough to gravitationally influence everything we can't see. Think about that. Something outside our observable universe is powerful enough to make our entire visible reality its puppet. Not just our solar system or galaxy, but the entire universe as we know it. Even more disturbing, the flow's pattern suggests intelligence. These clusters aren't just falling, they're being summoned. By what? To where? And more terrifyingly, why? Maybe our universe isn't the aquarium. Maybe it's the bait. The Fermi Paradox. Look up at the night sky. Those tiny dots? Each one is a sun, and most have planets spinning around them, just like Earth does. Our galaxy has 400 billion of these stars, and that's more stars than there are grains of sand on every beach on Earth. And that's just our galaxy. There are millions of galaxies out there. By any reasonable math, space should be bustling with alien civilizations. But when we point our radio telescopes at the sky, we hear nothing. No alien TV shows, no interstellar Twitter feeds, no space Instagram. Just dead silence. It's like walking into New York City at noon and finding every building empty, every street abandoned. Something is deeply, fundamentally wrong with this picture. The explanation gets darker the more you think about them. Maybe we're truly alone, which is scary. We can barely handle keeping our own planet alive. Maybe something out there systematically wipes out civilizations before they can make noise, which is scarier, and we're broadcasting our location like idiots. Or maybe, just maybe, we're hearing exactly what something wants us to hear. Nothing. Like mice in a lab, blissfully unaware of the researchers watching from above, taking notes on our progress. The CMB Cold Spot. 13 billion light-years away lies a void so massive it shouldn't exist. A cold spot in the cosmic microwave background that breaks every model of how our universe should work. Imagine finding a chunk of space the size of thousands of galaxies, where reality itself seems thinner. Scientists first tried to dismiss it as a measurement error, then as a statistical fluke. Then they ran out of comfortable explanations. Because here's the thing about this cosmic dead zone. It's not just empty. It's impossibly empty. The laws of physics say this level of nothingness can't happen naturally. It's like finding a perfect vacuum in the middle of a hurricane. Recent studies suggest something worse. The cold spot isn't just a void. It's a scar. The aftermath of another universe colliding with ours. Think about that. We might be looking at the cosmic bruise from where another reality punched through into our space-time. The most unsettling part? The void appears to be growing. Whatever caused this cosmic dead zone might not be finished with our universe yet. Sometimes nothing is far more terrifying than something. Boötes void. Imagine a sphere of absolute nothing, spanning 330 million light-years. A space so vast our entire Milky Way is nothing but a dust speck in comparison. Welcome to the Boötes void, where the universe simply forgot to exist. While normal space averages 1,000 galaxies per cubic megaparsec, this cosmic ghost town hosts maybe 60 in the same volume. That's like finding Manhattan with only 2 people on it. The few galaxies that do exist in there aren't scattered randomly like they should be. They're arranged in a shell around the void's edge, as if something cleared out the space from the middle and pushed everything else to the walls. Even creepier, these galaxies are younger than they should be, like fresh wallpaper in an ancient house. Conventional physics can't explain this. Voids form naturally, sure, but not this big, not this empty, and definitely not this geometrically perfect. Some astronomers have suggested, after a few drinks, that we're looking at an engineered space, as if something with galaxy-spanning power decided it needed some room and started renovating. The void stares back at us, 700 million light-years away, silently defying explanation. Sometimes the absence of something is more terrifying than any presence could be. Galactic filaments. Imagine zooming out from Earth until galaxies become mere dots. Go any further and you'll see those dots form patterns. Massive cosmic threads stretching hundreds of millions of light years, weaving through space like neural pathways in a cosmic brain. These are galactic filaments, the largest known structures in existence so far, and they're behaving in ways that make astronomers lose sleep. The problem isn't their size, though each contains millions of galaxies. It's their organization. These filaments form an interconnected web that shows signs of what scientists reluctantly call network characteristics, which are the exact same patterns we see in brain tissue, internet networks, and fungal growth. They're not just random threads, they're communicating, growing, evolving. Recent data suggests these structures move in sync across billions of light years, which is faster than physics allows information to travel. It's as if the universe's skeleton is quietly coordinating with itself, ignoring our laws of causality. Some cosmologists have started asking uncomfortable questions. What if the cosmos isn't just expanding, but developing? What if space itself is thinking? Next time you look up, remember, something incomprehensibly vast might be looking back through the neural network we call space. Galaxy cannibalism. Our Milky Way isn't the peaceful spiral of stars you see in textbooks. It's a cosmic serial killer, digesting the shredded remains of smaller galaxies it's devoured. Those pretty star streams across our night sky, those are the cosmic equivalent of scattered bones, stellar debris from our galaxy's latest victims. And we're not done eating. Right now, we're in the process of consuming the Sagittarius dwarf galaxy, its stars being slowly ripped apart and absorbed into our own system. Think of it as a snake slowly swallowing its prey, except this meal takes billions of years. But here's the truly unsettling part. We're not the biggest predator out there. Our galactic neighbor Andromeda is heading straight for us, and it's hungry. In about 4.5 billion years, Andromeda will collide with the Milky Way in a gravitational dance of destruction. Both galaxies will be torn apart, their stars scattered like confetti, with black holes merging in a space-time cataclysm. what emerges will be a new, larger galaxy, built from the cannibalized remains of our cosmic home. The universe operates on one simple rule: eat or be eaten. And somewhere out there, something bigger is always hunting. The cosmic web. Remember learning that space is mostly empty? That was a comfortable lie. Zoom out far enough, and our universe reveals itself as an incomprehensible web of dark matter and galaxies, stretched across billions of light years like a neural network of cosmic proportions. This is the cosmic web, and it's beginning to look disturbingly alive. Each strand of this web contains hundreds of thousands of galaxies, flowing like blood cells through cosmic arteries. These filaments connect at massive clusters. Think of them as the universe's organs, creating a structure so vast that a single cell of this pattern is larger than a million Milky Ways. But here's where it gets weird. This isn't random. The web shows signs of self-organization that shouldn't be possible at these scales. Recent observations have revealed that galaxies and gas aren't just flowing through these filaments, they're communicating across them. Information appears to be moving faster than light speed, as if the entire structure is responding to itself instantaneously. It's the same pattern we see in brain tissue, fungal networks, and neural pathways. The universe isn't expanding, it's growing like an organism. Some cosmologists have started asking uncomfortable questions. What if dark matter isn't just invisible mass, but the universe's nervous system? What if these filaments aren't just structures, but synapses in a cosmic brain? The math suggests something even more disturbing. Our entire observable universe might just be one part of a much larger consciousness, slowly becoming aware of itself. We used to worry about finding intelligent life in space. Now we're facing the possibility that space itself might be intelligent. Those points of light in the night sky, they might be neurons firing in a mind so vast that our entire civilization exists in the equivalent of a single thought. And somewhere in this cosmic brain, something is starting to think about us. Want to know the really fun part? The feeling of existential dread creeping up your spine right now? That's just your neurons recognizing that they're part of a bigger neuron. Sweet dreams. Primordial black holes. In the first fraction of a second after the Big Bang, before atoms existed, before light could travel freely, the universe had what we might politely call a chaotic phase, when it created things that shouldn't exist, including black holes that defy every rule we thought we knew about their formation. Primordial black holes weren't born from collapsed stars like their more conventional cousins. They emerged from the raw chaos of creation itself, when space-time was about as stable as a collapsing star. Some could be as small as an atom, with the mass of a mountain. Others might be floating around with the mass of planets, playing pinball with our solar system. We can't see them directly, but we can watch them mess with gravity. Here's the part that keeps physicists awake at night. These ancient oddities might make up most of the universe's dark matter, which basically means that the mysterious force holding galaxies together is actually made of countless microscopic holes in reality, created when the universe was having a literal breakdown. Even better, they could be evaporating right now through Hawking radiation, essentially slow motion exploding across billions of years. Each one is a tiny time bomb of pure energy, set by the universe itself. But the real kicker? Recent math suggests these things could form spontaneously, anywhere, anytime. That empty space between atoms, it might occasionally just decide to become a black hole. Physics tells us it's possible, even if incredibly unlikely. So not only is the void between stars filled with invisible ancient black holes, but the space between your atoms might randomly collapse into one. The void isn't empty, it's just waiting for probability to glitch. And somewhere out there, in the space between spaces, the universe's first mistakes are still lurking, invisibly bending reality around them, waiting to be found. Or maybe they'll find us first. Next time you feel something inexplicably pull at you, remember, it might just be one of the universe's oldest oopsies saying hello. Dark matter filaments. Speaking of dark matter, everything you can see in the universe, every star, planet, galaxy, and cloud of gas is just the lint caught in an invisible cobweb of dark matter. These dark filaments, similar to the galaxy filaments in the cosmic web, stretch across billions of light years, forming a cosmic architecture that moves and behaves in a way that makes physicists drink heavily. We can't see these structures directly, but we can watch them puppeteer entire galaxies like marionettes. Clusters of galaxies dance along these dark highways, flowing in patterns that suggest something more disturbing than mere gravity at work. The filaments appear to be communicating with each other, coordinating movements across distances that should make synchronization impossible. Recent observations suggest these dark matter streams might be self-aware in some alien way. They respond to disturbances like a nervous system, reorganize themselves like living tissue, and show patterns of behavior that mirror neural networks. We're essentially living inside something's circulatory system, watching blood cells flow through veins we can barely detect. The most unsettling part? These filaments are getting more organized over time. The universe isn't descending into chaos as entropy demands, it's building something. And whatever this cosmic architecture is meant to be, we're just decorative bacteria growing on its framework. Sleep tight, knowing you're just a microscopic accident flowing in something's dark veins. Tier 5. Existential Threats. Gamma ray bursts. Somewhere in space right now, two neutron stars are about to collide. When they do, they'll release more energy in a few seconds than our sun will produce in its entire lifetime. A gamma ray burst that could sterilize half a galaxy. We wouldn't see it coming. No warning, no Hollywood countdown. Just a flash of invisible radiation traveling at light speed, stripping Earth's atmosphere like peeling an orange. The truly terrifying part? We've found evidence this has happened before. Scientists discovered traces of mass extinctions possibly linked to nearby gamma ray bursts, cosmic execution events that randomly cleanse sectors of the galaxy. Our planet has scars from these cosmic firing squads. We just don't know how many times we've dodged a bullet. The statistics suggest one of these cosmic death rays passes through our galaxy every few 100,000 years. We're overdue, and unlike asteroids or solar flares, there's absolutely nothing we could do to stop it. The kill switch for Earth could already be pressed. It's light racing toward us through the void as we speak. Rogue black holes. Somewhere in the dark between stars, city-sized gravitational traps drift silently through our galaxy. We once thought black holes stayed fixed at galactic centers, until new gravitational surveys revealed an uncomfortable truth. Millions of them are wandering free, and each one is invisible until it's close enough to distort nearby starlight. The numbers from recent studies are unsettling. Thousands of these stellar remnants likely exist within a few hundred light years of Earth, products of ancient supernovae violent enough to kick their cores into random trajectories. Every improvement in our detection methods reveals more of them, suggesting our current estimates are embarrassingly conservative. We're mapping a minefield by counting explosions. What's truly unnerving isn't their existence, but their implications. Our galaxy naturally produces these roaming death traps as a byproduct of stellar evolution, ensuring a steady supply of invisible threats that can reshape or destroy entire solar systems. The process is so mechanically efficient, it almost seems deliberate, as if planetary stability was meant to be temporary. If one is headed our way, we'll detect it just in time to say, oh shit, magnetar radiation. Now let me tell you about the scariest thing in our stellar neighborhood. And no, it's not black holes this time. Imagine a star so densely packed that a spoonful weighs more than all the mountains on Earth combined. Now imagine this star spins several times per second, has a magnetic field trillion times stronger than Earth's, and occasionally just cracks. When a magnetar's crust cracks, it releases a burst of radiation so intense it can sterilize planets from thousands of light years away. In 2004, one burped from 50,000 light years distant and still gave our atmosphere a gentle toasting. The blast lasted a mere fraction of a second, but released more energy than our sun will in 100,000 years. And we've discovered one just 9 light years away. SGR 0418 plus 5729 is sleeping. For now. But magnetars are cosmic toddlers, tiny, temperamental, and one tantrum away from breaking everything. If it wakes up grumpy and points in our direction, well, let's just say life on Earth would have a very bad day. The radiation burst would arrive without warning. Light speed means no time to say goodbye. Want to know the really twisted part? We can't even detect most magnetars because they're only visible when active. There could be one much closer, silently spinning, its surface slowly cracking. Near-Earth asteroids. Remember that dinosaur extinction film where everyone saw the asteroid coming? Pure Hollywood fantasy. In 2020, an asteroid slipped past Earth closer than our own satellites, and we only spotted it 6 hours after it waved goodbye. In fact, rocks the size of football fields regularly play peekaboo with our planet. Some discovered mere hours before their close encounters. Our planetary defense system consists mainly of crossing our fingers and hoping statistics stay in our favor. You'd think tracking giant space rocks would be straightforward, but most asteroids are as dark as lumps of coal drifting through the blackness of space. Try spotting a black rock against a black background and you'll get why our astronomers have trouble sleeping at night. We've identified maybe 40% of the ones large enough to trigger an extinction-level event, meaning there are hundreds still out there playing hide and seek. Want to know how we classify these potentially hazardous asteroids? If it's bigger than a football field and its orbit comes within 4.6 million miles of Earth's path, it makes the list, which means we have thousands on that list. The math says one will eventually hit. It's not if, but when. By the time you spot the one with our name on it, world governments will be fighting over who to blame. Twitter will be having a meltdown, and some people will still be sending their final snap streak. Coronal mass ejections. Remember that time your phone died and ruined your whole day? Now imagine every electronic device on Earth frying simultaneously, because our sun casually spews enough plasma to obliterate modern civilization. 1 billion hydrogen bombs worth of charged particles hurled through space like a shotgun blast pointed straight at Earth. One direct hit and everything with a circuit board becomes an expensive paperweight. The last major solar tantrum hit Earth in 1859, known as the Carrington Event. Back then, telegraph operators watched their equipment shoot sparks and work without power. Today, those same electrical currents would reduce our power grid to smoldering ruins, leaving us with trillion-dollar repair bills and no Netflix to distract us from the chaos. Satellites would drop like flies, GPS would go dark, and the internet, well, maybe for social media detox isn't the worst thing that could happen to us. The irony is that our star's regular temper tantrums are actually signs of good health, but would definitely not be healthy for all those hospital patients on life support ventilators. Scientists estimate we have about a 12% chance of getting hit by one of these solar haymakers in the next decade, and we'd only get roughly 13 hours warning before impact. Just enough time to panic download Wikipedia and remember all those survival skills we meant to learn. The estimated recovery time? Anywhere from months to years, depending on how many spare transformers we have lying around. Spoiler alert, not many. Neutron star collisions. Picture two cosmic corpses, neutron stars, each packed with more mass than our sun but compressed to the size of Manhattan. Made of material so dense, a single teaspoon would outweigh Mount Everest. When these stellar zombies spiral together at near light speed, they create a collision so violent it literally makes space-time flinch. The resulting explosion briefly outshines every other star in their galaxy, spraying the universe with exotic elements like gold and platinum. That wedding ring on your finger? You're wearing shrapnel from one of these thermonuclear apocalypses. Scientists can detect these mergers through gravitational waves, but if one happened within 100 light years, we'd be vaporized before we even finish saying, oh shit. Somewhere out there, two more neutron stars are eyeing each other across a crowded galaxy. Physics version of a disaster date waiting to happen. Let's hope we're not on the guest list. Solar polar reversal. Every 200,000 to 300,000 years, Earth's magnetic pole reversed themselves, and we're now 780,000 years overdue, 3 times longer than the typical interval. Our magnetic field isn't just growing weaker, it's deteriorating, like a terminal patient whose life support could fail at any moment. The universe, in its indifference, has left us living on borrowed time with a failing shield that's been reliably protecting life for millions of years. Until now. Earth's magnetic field isn't just for compasses and Boy Scouts. It's the only thing stopping the sun from slow cooking us. During a reversal, this protective shield weakens to about 10% of its normal strength. Imagine your sunscreen suddenly becoming as effective as cooking oil while you're stranded on a beach. That's us, but with cosmic radiation. The last time this happened, our ancestors were too busy discovering fire to write down the details. But here's a terrifying thought. Our modern world runs on electricity and sophisticated electronics. GPS? Useless. Power grids? Fried. Satellites? Toast. We've built our entire civilization assuming magnetic north would stay where it belongs. The real kicker is that we're already seeing signs. The magnetic North Pole is wandering away from Canada towards Siberia, like it's trying to escape capitalism. Scientists estimate the field is weakening about 5% per century, which is fine and dandy until you realize this could accelerate to unprecedented levels at any moment. We might be the first civilization advanced enough to document our own magnetic apocalypse, assuming our computers still work to record it. Relativistic kill vehicles. Imagine wiping out an entire civilization without warning, without exotic weapons, without even breaking the laws of physics. Just a humble chunk of metal would do, perhaps the size of a soda can. All you need to do is to get it accelerated to 99% the speed of light. At these velocities, mass becomes almost irrelevant. Kinetic energy is the real killer. That small projectile would impact with the force of multiple nuclear weapons, turning cities into craters before anyone could even register what happened. The true horror isn't in the destruction, it's in the waiting. Once launched, these weapons would be virtually undetectable and unstoppable. No radar, no defense systems, no prayers would help. Just a normal country 1 second, and an impact crater the next. A civilization could spend centuries wondering if today's the day their planet gets turned into confetti. And if you're trying to soothe yourself by telling yourself, well, it's just theoretical, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we can build these right now. No need for antimatter or exotic materials, just good old-fashioned rocket science and patience. The same physics that lets us dream about interstellar travel also hands us the blueprint for perfect planetary assassination. Every ladder to the star doubles as a weapon, and somewhere out there in the vast cosmic dark, maybe another civilization has already done the math and launched their own RKV. Perhaps it's already on its way, silently carrying their greeting card at near light speed. Return to sender? Not an option. The oxygen catastrophe. If I asked you to picture the culprit of Earth's first and by far deadliest murder spree, you'd probably blame asteroids or volcanoes or perhaps disease. But what if I tell you it wasn't any of the usual suspects, but it was the most innocent molecule we know? Oxygen. About 2.4 billion years ago, some microscopic organisms evolved and basically invented solar power, turning sunlight into energy and burping out oxygen as waste. The same thing plants do through photosynthesis. Cute, right? Nope. See, oxygen was literally toxic to almost everything alive back then. These tiny blue-green solar-powered killers kept pumping it out day after day, year after year, millennium after millennium. The planet tried to cope. Oceans absorbed it, rocks rusted, but eventually Earth ran out of places to hide the bodies. That's when the real horror show began. Imagine everything you know suddenly becoming poison, the air itself turning into acid. That's what happened to our planet's first residents. Oxygen levels shot up, creating what scientists politely call the Great Oxidation Event. Though Great Massacre might be more accurate. We're talking about the biggest extinction event in Earth's history, wiping out nearly all anaerobic life forms. 99% of life suffocated thanks to microbes gassing the planet like a frat house after Taco Tuesday. The great mass extinction in Earth's history wasn't caused by some cosmic catastrophe. It was just life poisoning itself to death. But here's the truly terrifying part. We're alive today because of this massacre. Every breath you take is thanks to an ancient apocalypse that left trillions dead in its wake, just with a different gas. History doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. And this time, we're the cyanobacteria. Tier 6. Quantum and Physics Concepts. False vacuum theory, or vacuum decay. Let's say you have a bottle of pure water in your freezer. You left it there well below freezing temperature, let's say 20 degrees Fahrenheit. But as long as it remains untouched, it won't turn into ice. The water is now what's called metastable water. It's a delicate state. It's super cool, just waiting for a trigger. A slight tap to the bottle and bam! Crystals of ice instantly spread through the entire thing, transforming all the liquid water into solid ice in seconds. Now scale this up to the entire universe and imagine that reality itself is metastable, hanging by a single quantum thread thinner than thought. Right now, we could be living in a false vacuum, like a bubble of imperfect nothingness that somehow, just like metastable water, forgot to collapse into its true lowest energy state. Our cosmos exists in this delicate balance, a false state of reality, just like that supercooled water waiting to freeze. One tiny disturbance could cause a similar chain reaction, but instead of water turning to ice, it's the fabric of reality itself transforming into something completely different. Like that spreading ice crystallization, this vacuum decay would create a bubble of transformed space that races outward at light speed, rewriting the fundamental laws of physics as it goes. Everything touched by this wave of change would cease to exist as we know it. Matter, energy, even space itself would be reconstructed under entirely new rules. The most disturbing part? Just like that one slight tap to the water bottle, it only takes one random quantum fluctuation, anywhere in the universe, to pop our bubble. A tiny disturbance in the cosmic foam could trigger a phase transition that would spread like cancer, rewriting reality itself. No explosion, no dramatic end, no warnings, no sirens, no final moments of reflection. Just a sphere of oblivion expanding outward, transforming everything it touches into something else. The boundary of destruction would be moving at light speed, so the edge of doom would literally outrun the information of its own existence. One moment you're scrolling on your phone, the next, poof, every atom in your body dissolves as the universe decides, nah, and rewrites reality from scratch. Not only are you dead, you were never even possible. A bubble of reformed reality could be racing toward us right now, and we would never see it coming. No warning, no dramatic buildup, just an instantaneous end to existence as we know it. The concerning part is that our own physics experiments might accidentally trigger this cosmic phase transition. Every time we smash particles together in one of our colliders at high energies, we're playing Russian roulette with reality itself. Remember the Fermi Paradox? Want to know why we haven't found advanced alien civilizations? Maybe they all built particle accelerators. Scientists argue about the likelihood, running calculations to determine if we're safe. But that's the thing, we could be perfectly fine. Or the wave of dissolution could be approaching from some distant galaxy right now, about to prove that our entire existence was just a temporary math error in the universe's calculations. Existence itself is just one quantum fluctuation away from a total reboot. Dark energy acceleration. Remember when you were a kid and thought the scariest thing in space was black holes? That's cute. Let me tell you about dark energy, the cosmic force that's literally tearing the universe apart. Every second, the space between galaxies stretches farther and faster, not just moving apart. The void itself is expanding, accelerating endlessly into the dark. Imagine throwing a ball upward and instead of it falling back, it speeds up forever until it vanishes. That's our universe right now, but with galaxies instead of balls. In a few billion years, every galaxy outside our local group will be moving away faster than light itself. They'll fade from view one by one, like seeing the headlights of a car fade from view. Future civilizations will look up at a nearly empty sky, with no way to know that once, long ago, there was more. They'll be trapped in an ever-darkening bubble of space-time, their universe shrinking to a lonely island in an infinite dark. And what even is this dark energy, you might ask? Well, we have no idea what dark energy is or why it's getting stronger. For all we know, it exists, and the acceleration could keep increasing until it rips apart galaxies, then solar systems, then planets, then atoms themselves. The universe could end not with a bang or a whimper, but by shredding itself until even the smallest of particles are torn apart, and all that's left is infinite nothingness, forever. Time arrows reversal. Ever wonder why you can remember the past but not the future? Why eggs break but never unbreak? Physics says there's no real reason time has to flow forward. It's just a cosmic coin flip that happened at the Big Bang. And like all coins, it could flip again. See, at the quantum level, the math works perfectly fine both forwards and backwards. Like watching a video in reverse. All the fundamental equations of physics stay valid. The only reason we experience time flowing forward is because of something called entropy, the tendency of ordered things to become disordered. Think of time's direction like a cosmic game of musical chairs. Right now, entropy increases, ice melts, stars burn out. Everything marches towards chaos. But what if the music stopped? What if somewhere in the depths of space, entropy decided to reverse course? A bubble of backward time could be expanding right now, where cause follows effect and dead stars unexplode. This isn't just sci-fi speculation. Quantum mechanics suggests local time reversals are possible, like eddies in a river flowing upstream. Just as particles can quantum tunnel through seemingly impossible barriers, regions of space-time could tunnel into a reverse entropy state. Imagine dropping a rock in a pond, but instead of ripples spreading outward, they converge from everywhere into a single point, lifting the rock out of the water. That's what physics would look like in a time-reversed bubble. The true horror isn't just that time could reverse, it's that we wouldn't even realize what was happening. Our memories would form backwards, each moment forgetting the future instead of the past. Every thought, every feeling would make perfect sense in reverse. You'd feel yourself getting younger, but you'd remember being younger as getting older. Your last breath would feel like your first, and your birth would feel like death. Maybe that's already happening. Maybe we're living in reverse, swimming upstream through time, convinced we're heading towards the future, when really, we're crawling back to the beginning. After all, how would we know? Quantum decoherence. Scientists shot marbles through two narrow slits in a wall. Common sense says you'd get two neat lines of marbles on the other side, right? And that's precisely what they got. Now, shrink those marbles down to particles of light. When no one's watching, something impossible happens. The singular particles go through both slits simultaneously, creating a weird stripe pattern like ripples in a pond. But here's the twist. The moment you try to observe which slit they're actually going through, they snap back to behaving like normal marbles and go through only one slit at a time. Reality literally changes depending on whether someone's watching. Something that has those scientists baffled ever since they conducted the infamous quantum double slit experiment. You know that old question, if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Quantum mechanics has an even more disturbing version. If nothing observes you, do you even exist in a definite state? That particle experiment isn't just some lab curiosity. It's happening to every atom in your body right now. Every particle in your existence floats in multiple states simultaneously, like a cosmic game of maybe. You're not just sitting there listening to me saying this, you're also standing, sleeping, and decomposing all at once. The only reason you appear solid in one particular state is because you're constantly being observed, not just by others, but by every particle around you. It's called quantum decoherence, reality crystallizing into one version because something, anything, is watching. Think about your phone's camera roll. Each photo captures one definite moment. But before you took that picture, all those possible poses and expressions existed simultaneously. Your consciousness works like that camera, constantly collapsing infinite possibilities into one concrete reality. But in perfect isolation, like in the spaces between atoms, in the void between stars, particles drift in quantum limbo, existing everywhere and nowhere, being everything and nothing. It's why quantum computers need extreme isolation. Any interaction with the environment forces quantum bits to choose a definite state. The act of measurement or observation is just one form of environmental interaction. Maybe, when you sleep, when consciousness fades, bits of you drift back into quantum uncertainty. Maybe death isn't the end. It's just returning to that quantum superposition, becoming everything possible all at once. Or maybe you're not really listening to me at all. You're just one possible version that happened to collapse into existence. The others, they're still out there in the quantum fog, living every choice you never made. And this is happening not only with every blink of yours, but all the time. So think about that next blink of yours. Or don't. After all, you might not actually be the you that closes their eyes. The final photon. Imagine being the last to witness light itself dying. Fast forward past dying stars, evaporating black holes, and the slow, quiet death of matter itself. Welcome to the real endgame. Roughly 10 raised to 100 years from now. That's a 1 with 100 zeros after it. The universe has expanded so vastly due to the dark energy acceleration that each remaining particle is effectively alone in its own observable cosmos. Picture yourself somehow surviving to see the last photon, the final particle of light in existence. It's been traveling for an incomprehensible time, redshifted almost to nothingness, carrying the last whisper of energy in a universe that's forgotten what warmth means. This photon has outlived stars, galaxies, and even black holes. It's the universe's last messenger, carrying the final bit of information that will ever be transmitted. When this photon finally gets absorbed or stretched into oblivion by the expanding void, that's it. Not just darkness. The very concept of light becomes meaningless. No more cause and effect. No more time as we understand it. The universe becomes a frozen tableau of quantum fields, eternally separated by ever-expanding space, too far apart to ever interact again. The most terrifying part? We're already living through the universe's bright, brief youth. Every second that passes brings us closer to this final darkness. Every photon your eyes detect right now is one less in the universe's finite supply. You're not just seeing light, you're witnessing the slow death of possibility itself, one particle at a time. Look around you. Really look. Someday, in an unimaginably distant future, one of the photons you see right now might be the final one. The last light that will ever shine in all of existence. And after that, just eternal, perfect darkness forever. Missing matter problem. Ever notice how nothing quite adds up in your bank account? The universe has the same problem, except it's missing 95% of reality itself. Look up at the night sky. Everything you see, every star, planet, galaxy, cloud of gas, your morning coffee, your entire existence. That's just 5% of reality, the cosmic equivalent of pocket change. The rest, dark matter and dark energy. Stuff we can't see, touch, or directly measure. Here's where it gets weird. We know this missing matter is there because galaxies are spinning too fast. Way too fast. They should be ripping themselves apart, flinging stars into space like a blender with lid off. But something invisible is holding them together. a gravitational scaffolding we can't see or interact with, except through its effects on visible matter. Imagine living in a house where 95% of the walls, floors, and ceiling are invisible. You know something's holding it all together, but you can't see it, touch it, or interact with it. That's our universe. And dark energy, that's even stranger. It's making the universe expand faster and faster, like an invisible balloon being inflated by nothing. The space between galaxies is stretching, accelerating endlessly into the dark. Whatever this force is, it's powerful enough to overcome gravity itself, and we have absolutely no idea what it is. Sleep tight, knowing that right now, dark matter particles are passing through your body by the billions every second. You're more whole than substance, a brief arrangement of the universe's spare change, floating in an ocean of invisible something that might not even be matter as we understand it, and that our ocean is getting bigger, faster, forever. Welcome to reality, where the more we learn, the less we understand, and existence itself is mostly made of question marks. Particle horizons. Remember being a kid and thinking you could see everything from a tall building? Cute. Let me tell you about the cosmic horror of particle horizons, the ultimate limit of what we can ever know about our universe. Right now, there are parts of space we will never see. Not can't see yet, we'll never see, even if we waited until the heat death of the universe. Light from these regions hasn't had time to reach us since the Big Bang, and thanks to the universe's acceleration, it never will. Imagine having a twin at birth who starts running away so fast that their light can never catch up to you. You'll never know what they look like, what they became, or if they even still exist. The particle horizon is currently about 46.5 billion light years away in every direction. Due to cosmic expansion, objects beyond this distance can never communicate with us. Their light will never reach us, even given infinite time. The observable universe is essentially our light cone, everything that could theoretically have affected us since the Big Bang. But here's the gut punch. Even our observable universe is shrinking. Every second, another slice of cosmos slips beyond our particle horizon forever. Galaxies we can see today will gradually fade away, not because they're dying, but because they'll be moving away faster than light itself. Future civilizations will see fewer and fewer stars, with no way to know that once, long ago, there was more. They'll be trapped in an ever-shrinking bubble of knowable space, their cosmic map growing smaller, while the actual universe expands infinitely. Want existential dread? Most of the universe isn't just far away. It's permanently locked behind a cosmic firewall. Entire galaxies, civilizations, or universe-breaking secrets could be out there, and we'll never ever know. Our complete understanding of reality might be based on examining less than a cosmic grain of sand in an infinite beach. There could be a whole universe-changing event heading toward us right now from beyond the horizon. We wouldn't know about it until it hit us, like a blind spot that keeps getting bigger. By the time I finish this sentence, another galaxy has slipped beyond what we can ever know about our universe, forever vanishing into the unreachable void of space. Wheeler's delayed choice experiment. Ever had that creepy feeling that reality only exists when you look at it? John Wheeler decided to test this by messing with time itself, and what he found should make you question everything you think you know about cause and effect. Remember that double-slit experiment where particles act like waves until you observe them? Wheeler took it further. What if we waited to decide how to measure the particle after it had already made its choice about going through the slits? It's like watching whether to watch a security camera's footage after the crime has already happened. And somehow, that decision changes what actually occurred in the past. Here's the mind bender. The particle seems to know in advance how you're going to measure it, even when that decision hasn't been made yet. It's like throwing a ball, then deciding after it lands whether you wanted to play baseball or basketball, and the ball retroactively changes its entire flight path to match your delayed choice. The implications are terrifying. Either information is traveling backward in time, or even worse, reality doesn't exist in a definite state until it's observed, even retroactively. Your past might not be fixed until someone in the future decides to look at it. That memory you have of yesterday, maybe it didn't become real until you remembered it just now. Think about all the moments of your life that nobody's observed or remembered. Do they exist in a quantum limbo like Schrodinger's autobiography, waiting for someone to collapse their wave function? Are you actually creating your past by observing your present? Next time you make a decision, remember, maybe you're not just choosing your future. You're retroactively determining which of infinite possible pasts actually happened. Or maybe some future observer's measurements are reaching back through time right now, collapsing your present moment into just one of countless possibilities. After all, is this really the first time you've heard this? Or did your decision to hear me right now retroactively create the history where it was written? Quantum entanglement. Ever had a friend who just gets you? Like finishes your sentences, knows what you're thinking? Quantum entanglement is like that, except infinitely more intimate and fundamentally more horrifying. Imagine two particles that are so deeply connected that they're essentially the same thing, just existing in different places. When you measure one, you instantly know everything about the other, no matter how far apart they are. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance because it scared the hell out of him, and he was right to be freaked out. Here's where it gets weird. These particles communicate their states instantaneously. Not speed of light fast, instantly. Separate them by the width of the universe and they'll still respond to each other faster than light could possibly travel between them. It's like having two coins that always lands on opposite sides, even if one's on Earth and the other's in the Andromeda galaxy. But wait, it gets worse. According to quantum mechanics, these particles don't have definite states until they're measured. They exist in all possible states simultaneously, and when you measure one, you're not just learning its state, you're forcing both particles to pick specific complementary states from the infinity of possibilities, and they have to agree across any distance with no time delay. Think about the implications. Every particle that's ever interacted since the Big Bang could still be entangled on some level. That means your body contains particles that are quantum linked to matter on the other side of the observable universe. Move your hand and you're tugging on invisible quantum strings that stretch to the cosmic horizon. Maybe consciousness itself is just quantum entanglement on a biological scale. Ever locked eyes with someone and just knew what they were thinking? This might not be intuition, it might be physics. Those deja vu moments could be quantum echoes rippling through the cosmic web of entangled particles that make up reality. And here's the kicker. We're getting pretty good at manipulating entangled particles. We're building quantum computers that harness this phenomenon, which means we're learning to control the very fabric of reality. A reality that's turning out to be more like a cosmic game of quantum twister, where everything's connected to everything else in ways that defy space, time, and sanity itself. Sleep tight, knowing that every atom in your body is invisibly, instantaneously linked to the infinite cosmos. You're never really alone. You're just one node in the universe's quantum social network, whether you like it or not. The information paradox. Imagine throwing your diary into a black hole. According to quantum mechanics, that information, every crush, every embarrassing moment, every secret, can never be truly destroyed. But according to Einstein's relativity, once it passes the event horizon, that information is gone forever, crushed into a singularity where the laws of physics break down. Both theories can't be right. Welcome to the information paradox. The fact that such a basic question, can information be destroyed, lead to such profound contradictions means we're missing something fundamental about the nature of reality itself. Here's where it gets nasty. Black holes eventually evaporate through Hawking radiation, spitting out random particles until they disappear completely. But if information can't be destroyed, where do all your diary's secrets go? The particles coming out seem completely random, carrying no trace of what fell in. It's like feeding a novel into a shredder and expecting to reconstruct the story from the confetti. The implications are existential. If information can be lost, then causality itself breaks down. The past becomes unknowable, the future unpredictable. The universe loses its plot thread. But if information is preserved, then either relativity is wrong, which would be terrifying since most of our understanding relies on it, or information somehow escapes the black hole, which is impossible. Or something even weirder is happening. Some physicists suggest your diary's information gets spread across the black hole's surface. The holographic principle. Imagine your life story being smeared across a cosmic movie screen, with each pixel containing fragments of your secrets. Others propose that the information comes out encoded in subtle patterns in the Hawking radiation, like finding your diary's text hidden in static noise. The most disturbing theory? Maybe the information isn't lost because nothing ever actually crosses the event horizon. From an outside observer's perspective, time slows to a crawl near a black hole. Your diary would appear to freeze at the horizon, slowly fading away as its information gets encoded in quantum fluctuations. You'd see it stuck there forever, never quite falling in, like a cosmic version of Zeno's paradox. So, next time you're trying to delete an awkward text, just remember, the universe never forgets. The holographic universe principle. Think your life feels unreal sometimes? Guess what? It might not be dissociation, or just one of those days. Hold on to your existential crisis, because according to the holographic universe principle, everything you've ever known might be a 3D projection of information stored on a distant 2D surface. Like a universe-scale version of those holographic stickers from the 90s, but with your entire existence encoded on it. This isn't some stoner thought experiment. The math checks out. Physicists discovered that black holes store information on their event horizon, not inside them, meaning their entire volume could just be a projection of surface data. Then they asked, what if that applies to the whole universe? Think of a 2D movie that perfectly simulates depth. Now imagine that you're the character in it. Your brain interprets a 3D world, but it could all be a highly detailed projection from the universe's distant boundary. And this isn't some fringe theory. It has gained significant support from string theory calculations and is backed by some serious mathematics and helps resolve multiple physics paradoxes. When you try to understand quantum entanglement or reconcile gravity with quantum mechanics, treating the universe as a hologram actually makes the math work better. We've been looking at the problem from the wrong dimensional perspective all along. Next time you look in a mirror, remember, you might be seeing a projection of information stored in a format you can't even comprehend. Reality itself might be nature's greatest magic trick, a 3D shadow of 2D data, creating the ultimate illusion of depth and substance. Sweet dreams about being a complex pattern of information pretending to be matter. At least holograms don't get insomnia. Or do they? 0-point energy fields. Ever feel restless in a completely quiet room? That's nothing compared to the quantum jitters of empty space itself. Welcome to the 0-point energy level, where nothing is actually a rolling ocean of virtual particles popping in and out of existence faster than you can think. Even in the coldest, emptiest void of space, at absolute zero temperature, quantum mechanics forbids true stillness. The universe has a minimum energy state that's not zero. It's like reality has cosmic anxiety, constantly fidgeting on a quantum level. Pairs of particles and antiparticles spontaneously appear out of thin air and annihilate each other by colliding in timeframes so short we can barely detect them. The 0-point energy field has been experimentally verified through effects like the Casimir force, where virtual particles create measurable pressure between closely spaced plates in a vacuum. It's not just theory. We can quite literally measure the restlessness of nothing. Here's the disturbing part. These quantum fluctuations contain an unfathomable amount of energy. Calculate the 0-point energy in a single cubic centimeter of empty space, and what you get is enough energy to boil all of Earth's oceans at once. The void between your atoms contains enough potential energy to power civilization for millions of years. You're literally surrounded by an infinite sea of untappable power. Why can't we harness it? Because it's everywhere, perfectly balanced. It's like trying to extract energy of the ocean's pressure while being underwater. You can't harness the pressure if it's pressing equally from all sides. But this energy isn't just sitting there doing nothing. It's affecting everything. The very mass of particles, the strength of forces, even the expansion of the universe might be driven by these quantum fluctuations. Want something really unsettling? These visual particles can become real under the right conditions. Near black holes, they can be torn apart before they annihilate one another, creating actual matter from literally nothing. Your body is constantly interacting with these ghost particles, and they subtly influence every atomic interaction in your cells. The space between your eyes and this screen isn't empty. It's a frothing quantum foam of particles flickering in and out of existence, each carrying enough potential energy to level a city. Reality itself is built on a foundation of infinite instability, somehow producing the illusion of solid matter and consistent physics. Sleep tight, knowing that even in perfect darkness and silence, the fabric of space around you is screaming with quantum energy, creating and destroying entire universes worth of visual particles every microsecond. At least now you know why it's so hard to find true peace and quiet. Even nothing itself can't sit still.